To begin, I will first discuss the statistical concept of what a 2 to the third factorial experiment is. Say you had a behavior you wanted to analyze, such as the overheating of your computer. You then want to figure out what is influencing that behavior, which is what is called a factor. In a 2 to the third experiment case, you will have 3 factors. In the case of your overheating computer, 3 likely factors are the ambient temperature of the outside surroundings, how fast your computer is running, and how good of a heat processor you have. Once you have figured out these 3 factors, you're ready to begin conducting your experiment. To properly conduct the experiment, each factor you've chosen needs 2 different levels. For the first factor, ambient temperature, 2 useful levels are the temperature of the inside room versus the temperature of the outside room. Since we live in Florida, I use 77 degrees Fahrenheit for the inside temperature and 91 degrees Fahrenheit for the outside temperature. For the second factor, running speed, I use the speed for browsing the internet, 2.2 gigahertz, and one for browsing the internet while watching Netflix, 2.8 gigahertz. For the third factor, heat processing, I use 2 computers, both with something called a heat sink, which helps your computer process heat. One computer had a fan and one did not. Once you decide your 2 levels for each factor, you create a fun little diagram like this one to get your 8, or 2 to the third, possible outcomes. Finally, you test them to find out how long it takes your computer to overheat in each scenario. Now that you have finished your experiment, it's important to log your data. In this case, since slides are unfortunately 2D, I created a graph that shows the outcomes in a 2D manner, combining the first 2 times 2 factors into one so that they can be shown on this graph. The different heat processing levels are shown on the x-axis, and the y-axis show how long they took to overheat in each instance. The data follows the common idea that the computer will process heat better or take more time to overheat when it has a fan and a heatsink versus when it only has a heatsink. In conclusion, 2 to the third factorial experiments are very useful and also fun to do if you know what you're doing.